Well, hello and welcome back. And my name is Colin and I am the creator behind the Grey Wolf Bike YouTube channel where I film all sorts of mountain bike content. You've probably clicked on this video because you're interested in the model that we're going to look at today, which is the Apex Nano 187RB. However, the purpose of this series, not only of this particular video, but other videos of different trailers that I think you might be interested in as well, is looking at RVs through the lens of a mountain biker. So what are the specific features that a mountain biker might be looking for in a particular trailer? So today we're here at Field of Dreams RV in Airdrie, Alberta, Canada, and we're going to go explore that Apex Nano. So come on with me, let's take a look.
Hi, welcome to Field of RV Dreams, the home of happiest customers.
How's it going? My name's Ahmed. I'm the sales manager here at Field of RV Dreams, and let me give you a tour around this location. Over here, we like to have a lot of fun. As you can see, our beautiful showroom, we nature it towards children, so this way the children always remember us when you go home and you're sitting there talking about trailers. They got you in your ear, always nagging you, saying, let's go back to Field of Dreams, the place where fun, everybody is having a great time, home of the happiest customers. This is the best place. You will find the best deals, the best service, the happiest people. I forgot to mention that, even though I still mentioned it, but just so you know, this is the place of the happiest people. Let me take you outside and show you all the trailers that we have outside. We have the largest inventory in Western Canada.
So this Apex Nano 187RB might just be the coolest little trailer that I have seen in a long time for its utilization of space, the features that it offers, and the growth opportunity that this trailer can provide depending on what you want to use it for now and what you might use it for in the future. So let's do a 360 and check out some of the features. So we're going to start right up here at the front, and the first thing I want to discuss is the fact that this is a 90-inch or 7.5 foot wide trailer. This is technically 2 inches wider than the Ibex we looked at in a previous video, but it's important to mention from the context of a mountain biker, and the reason being is that often our trailheads are located up Forest Service roads, and those Forest Service roads are, can and are often quite narrow. In fact, they're sometimes even just bench cuts right onto the side of a mountain. So the wider the trailer, the more difficult it's going to be to access certain areas. You might be more likely to have branches brush down the side of the trailer, or simply not be able to fit all together. So I do want to make note of that. Now, the reason being likely for that wider chassis is because this does not feature any slides, but what we'll see here in a minute is that this doesn't really do away with a lack of space. In fact, it feels just as big, if not bigger than the Ibex, and might have just as much space on the inside. Now, one contributing factor to it feeling wider is going to be this window right here. Now, granted, I live in the province of Alberta, which is notorious for rock chips. So while I'm not 100% sure how this would translate into longevity, I really like what it does on the inside, and we'll see that more in a minute. Worth noting here is, though the Coachman Apex Nano off-grid series is a less expensive trailer than the Ibex, it not only comes with a dual 20-pound propane tank, but this is actually the same propane cover that we saw on the Mini Winnie FLX, I believe, or at least it feels very similar to it. And that's really good from the perspective of it being less likely to crack, especially in colder temperatures. Also, like the Ibex, we see that it has a really nice frame coating to it. This is something I particularly look for when it comes to trailers up here in Canada from a rust preventative standpoint. But you'll notice that this doesn't feature those chain hangers that the Ibex has. Though granted, I didn't actually mention that in the Ibex video. So kind of all the more reason to try to follow me through this journey and watch these videos, because I'm not a professional at this, and I will inherently forget things such as little features like those chain hangers. This doesn't have it, but that's okay. Something else that I'd like to draw your attention to that's really good is this right here. Now, on some trailers, we have seen the diamond tread, the black diamond tread, which I have personal experience with on my cargo trailer. And I can tell you that the diamonds are intended to be durable, but the material is so thin that, that it is susceptible to rock damage. Whereas this feels like more of a plastic polycarbonate composite, and I believe it's the exact same as that we've seen on the Mini Winnie, and this, in my opinion, will stand up much better to rock chips. Making our way around the passenger side of the trailer, I'm just going to kind of give you an overview. So we can see here there is you know, a nice awning, and they've made decent space out of it. It's probably a 16-foot awning is my guess. And what's good to note is that the door falls right in the middle of the awning on this floor plan. So some floor plans have the door really close to the end, which you know, when you exit the trailer during rain, especially if there's a little bit of a sideways breeze, can end up getting some water inside the trailer. So this isn't going to do it. Coming down here, again, this is a price-conscious trailer, so I would not expect to see anything else other than the manual scissor jacks. As discussed on the Ibex, simply get yourself a 12 or 18 volt cordless drill and an appropriately sized socket, and you can drive these down or up. As you can see, the metal is quite thin, and so really these are just meant to keep the trailer stable when you're walking around in it, especially considering that this is a single axle, which are more prone to movement. It's not intended to actually lift the trailer off the ground. Staying here for another moment, something that I'd like to point out that's really good to see on this type of trailer is that the A-frame is in line with the actual body frame of the trailer. And that's important because there are some trailers that have the A-frame welded or bolted to the bottom of the main body frame. And when you're going into like non-pavement situations, what that's going to mean is that as your truck articulates with your trailer, so your truck might start going up a hill, that means it's going to the coupler is going to go down towards the bottom of the ground, which is going to lower the nose of your trailer, and that reduces ground clearance. So on a trailer that's quite literally called off-grid, which implies, in my opinion, like an off-road, then having good ground clearance is going to be really important. Now, having a look inside, we do see that there is a solar charge controller, but it is a 30 amp charge controller. Again, compare this to the more expensive Ibex, and this has a higher rated higher capability of charging your batteries. Now, this trailer, it appears like most trailers, does not come with a battery. The battery would be mounted out here on the tongue. There would be space for a couple of them or a really big one. But the fact that this has a 30 amp charge controller means that you can add quite a few batteries, you know, in addition to just the one that would be necessary to give you more off-grid capabilities. You know, again, the name of this trailer. Now, it's worth noting here that, you know, compared to the Ibex, this is using a wood frame construction that is similar to the Winnebago, which is a much higher price point. I'm going to discuss prices at the end of the video, but I just want to point these out as we go around so that you have a sense of comparison when we do discuss money at the end. This does feature magnetic close doors, but you can see this is like a 1/2 inch thick door, so it's you know, inherently going to be less thermally efficient and maybe more prone to warping in the long run just because of its size. But this is exactly what I would expect on a trailer of this price point, which again we'll circle back to. This has the Lippert Sturdy Step, which I personally really like, not only because it gives a great feeling. A lot of the steps that pop out the side of your trailers, they can be a bit bouncy. To me, it's almost nostalgic because I grew up with those kind of like bouncy type trailers, but the Lippert Sturdy Steps are basically becoming an industry staple because of how, well, stable and sturdy they really are. They also have independently adjustable foot legs, so it will compensate for, uneven ground, and it flips up inside the trailer. So why, as mountain bikers, would we really care about that? Well, you can see as I get down here low that what it does is it preserves and maintains really good ground clearance across the bottom of the trailer. So if you do want to, try to explore the areas that you're going into, then having this step flip up gives you lots of ground clearance. That said, compared to the Ibex and especially the Winnebago, there are more components that are much lower hanging. And I think the reason being is, this is a good segue, into the next feature. So you're probably wondering, hey Colin, why is it that we're talking about a single axle like trailer, traditional travel trailer type setup here? Well, Apex Nano does something that's really, really interesting, and they give you two options for tires. It's called the off-road package, and it was explained to me that all that is simply the tires. But they've done something else in preparation for that. So this is the front mounting point for your leaf spring suspension. Again, it's not a torsion suspension, it's leaf spring. So it's a simpler technology. It will result in some forces being transmitted from side to side. And as we've discussed in other videos, single axle trailers are more prone to a bumpier ride if you tend to hit expansion cracks or potholes or that sort of thing driving down the road. Leaf spring is a simple, cost-effective suspension solution. But again, this is what I really want to draw your attention to. So right now, this features the standard radial tires that would be just an on-road tire with like some, light gravel capabilities. But what I would do is I would mount that in the lower position, which is going to go ahead and lower the whole trailer down a couple of inches. Now, if you opt for, or in the future, decide to get larger, knobbier off-road tires, and I can show you exactly what those look like in a second, then you can go ahead, bring it back to your dealer, have them change the bolt position to the lower one, which is going to increase your ground clearance and provide you with more off-road capabilities. And if we just take a step over here to this Apex Nano, this is a different model, we can see exactly what that looks like. So here are the Goodyear Wrangler off-road tires, and you can see that it's mounted in that lower, more high ground clearance position. So this is why I'm including this trailer in this series, because again, as mountain bikers, having high ground clearance is really important. And this is the only trailer I've seen on the market that has the ability to change that height. I just think it's so awesome. And it's optional straight from factory with these Goodyear Wranglers. Now that said, it's not to say that you're permanently stuck if you have a trailer, or if you go with a trailer that doesn't have the multi-positions as this does, but what you end up having to do is cut off your suspension, weld in square stock, and then re-weld it back on, and welders are not cheap. Welding can be and is quite expensive. So this already has it equipped with those two positions. So one fella here I was just chatting with a second ago, he was actually saying that what you could do is you could start off with this trailer in its standard road radial configuration in the low position to give you nice trailering comfort and easy access and egress from the trailer. And as you get more comfortable and want to start to venture off-road and go into more rural places, then what you can do is, again, bring it back, have them put it in that higher suspension, and then you can throw knobbier tires on down the road. So you have options when you're speccing an Apex Nano in terms of where are you now and what sort of activities would you like to do in the future. So if this is your first RV and you just don't feel comfortable trying to boondock it, or you want to put in a big solar prep package and lithium-ion deep cycle batteries, but you don't have the budget for that right off the bat, then maybe you just spec it with the radial and give yourself time and longevity with the product instead of being forced in a couple of years' time to consider like a whole new trailer just because of the suspension. So if you can't tell, I really like that feature. Now, making our way around the back of the trailer here, I keep wanting to say coach because it's a Coachman. We do have LED brake lights here, and I'm willing to bet that these are LED lights up here, but this is something that I've talked about on the Ibex and the Winnebago. This is your standard style of light. This is inherently less expensive to produce. Makes sense given this price-conscious product of the Apex Nano series. But it's worth drawing your attention to. Really, the only difference would be if this is incandescent, it might have like a different light signature, and those round ones are going to be a little bit more expensive to install. They're just a bit more precise. So that is worth mentioning. We do still have a standard radial tire here as a spare. And actually, do you know what? I'm going to run back to this Apex Nano here because this has that off-road, off-grid package. And what do they have for spare? Okay, it does look like it's a standard radial on the back as well. So if you are going with the off-road package, then maybe take the opportunity right off the bat to go ahead and upgrade the spare tire. Something else you mountain bikers are probably already picking up on is this Apex, like the Ibex, does not have a 2-inch accessory receiver. So you can, as we've talked about in that Ibex video, you can get clamp products, but Ahmed, the sales manager here, was saying that because the actual bumper is such a thin gauge material, it's, he said it's really only suitable for children's bikes, and I'm inclined to agree with him. If you want to carry mountain bikes, then you'd be looking at a custom fabrication for a 2-inch receiver. So definitely build that into your budget. Alternatively, if you have a solution for carrying the mountain bikes on your tow vehicle, so if it's a pickup truck, maybe it goes in the box. I have a pickup truck, but I really value that box space for the ability to carry like my firewood, or if I wanted to bring a barbecue or other, camping accessories, that sort of thing. If you have an SUV, then you're going to be looking at like a roof rack solution. There is a product called Arvika, which is very similar to this. You can see that this is the bike rack on the front of this Conquest. I don't know if that's a customer product. I don't recommend that, especially for expensive, heavy mountain bikes. I do have experience with that, and we have run into clearance issues before with our pickup trucks actually making contact with the wheels of the bike. So I don't recommend that. I don't think it's sturdy enough for the high value mountain bikes that we have. Make your way around the driver's side of the vehicle, and something I'd immediately like to point out that, again, this is the less expensive. Apex is a lower tier compared to Ibex, and yet we have a outdoor shower. Presumably this is going to be hot and cold. This one happens to be locked up at the moment, but the fact that this is a lower tier, less expensive model with a feature that the higher tier, more expensive model doesn't have, kudos. Let's continue. Actually, before we continue, I want to go back down here and point out a couple of things. Now, I'm not a trailer expert. These two wires to me are going to either be pad heater or tank heaters, or it's going to be just like a grounding strap. But you can see there is exposed tanks down here at the bottom. Now, a lot of trailers, what they'll talk about is heated and enclosed underbellies, and this is an example of one that is not. So, if you're looking at this trailer, this is not a trailer that I would personally recommend if you're looking at doing extended cold weather camping, or if you are, be aware that your floor might be a lot colder than you'd like, so invest in some decent slippers, and it would be like cold weather dry camping, and that's totally possible. So a lot of campgrounds, are open, especially coastal campgrounds where it's just cold, but they'll be open like year round, such as where I go mountain biking down in Bellingham, Washington, and you can just use their bathroom and shower facilities and just essentially dry camp. You can run your furnace to stay warm on the inside, but you wouldn't necessarily be looking at using your holding tanks. Similarly, these are the valves that open and close. So how you would do it is you'd open your you'd drain your black tank, and then you'd open your gray tank, and it would clean out the hose that you would connect to this, and kind of try to flush it as clean as you can get. But I want to point this out. Not only that, but let's also take a look just to see. Remember, this is the suspension in its higher position, despite being the smaller street radial tires. And this, compared to some of the other models that we've looked at, does not have the same ground clearance. So again, this is speaking to somebody who's not looking at going, the most off-road, but definitely wants some, off-grid capabilities. I'm going to keep referencing that because it's, obviously the name of the product. Make your way up here. We can see this is your freshwater flush. Again, it's not enclosed in the underbelly, so it is fully exposed, and that means it's prone to freezing if and when it gets, frozen, especially wet and frozen. Up here, though, this is where it gets really neat. I've never, ever seen this before, and I've put it back into place. They have built this little track system here, and they have a wash basin that pops up. This is exactly the same style of wash basin I use in my rooftop tent setup. And I don't know if it's for dishes or you could fit a baby in there, a small dog, you could do laundry. I mean, maybe all of the above, I don't know. I just think it's really neat that they've included this. Again, I've never seen it before, but I love seeing these sorts of things because it kind of speaks to how the manufacturers are looking for this product to be used. So finishing the tour here, let's go ahead and enter onto the inside. I'd like to point out the fact I intentionally closed this door because you get lots of windows on this side. And I'm really excited to, oh, I've got the screen door has decided to stay here. Just, oh, come on now. There we go, just a little catch. So as we venture inside, I'd like to point out a few things as we go. So first and foremost, we'll come back to this, but I want to show you where the actual bed comes out to. Second, let's see the nice light color palette that this features in a contrast with a dark, this is like a charcoal gray. I'm not sure if it's going to translate really well onto camera, but check this out. And I'm saving one really cool thing. So here's your window. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to close this so we can maximize the amount of light because I think there's a lot of light here. So here's one window. There's your big front window, another window, a window here, a window behind me, a window in the door, and then bam! Check that out. I'm gonna back up so you can kind of take it all in. Look at this for light. This is just so awesome to see. This is a 187, so presumably it's an 18 foot, 7 inch, something like that. I think it's 21 total. Now I did try playing around with this. I couldn't figure out exactly how to operate it, but there are a couple of gas struts here, and it looks to me like this is going to be able to open. So I think they call this the Stargaze package, and for sleeping there is a blind that you can pull over, and actually you can see it's really effective. If it's the daytime though, open that up because, oh my gosh, this feels so light, so bright. Again, this trailer does not have a slide. So if we go and look this way, I don't think that this feels any narrower than that Ibex. And yet this is less expensive and simpler construction. It's also going to be an overall lighter weight trailer, but the tongue weight is heavier, I believe, especially because it's just a single axle. So that means there's going to be more weight being distributed onto your vehicle. So be mindful of your tow vehicle's tongue weight capabilities. So very common, we're seeing this style of cupboard. So this is where you're going to have your hangers. Like a lot of the trailers, they won't be able to accommodate a standard size hanger, so be mindful of that. Something that it's coming into this trailer that reminds me just how useful this upper cabinet is. This does not exist in the Winnebago Mini Winnie, and I wish that it did. This provides all of the space for shorts, swim trunks, socks, loose items that are small that don't really work very well in a stand-up cabinet. And that Mini Winnie just has that little shelf where a lot of those items are going to kind of jiggle and maybe want to come down on you. Under here, there is a single light, not a dual. Again, a little opportunity for cost savings. And on both sides of the bed, we're going to see a 110 outlet, for some reason 12 volt DC, and then USB ports, but they are USB-A. So get ready for your having the correct cable connections. That one is located over here on this side. Yeah, it has it on both sides. Something else that I really liked seeing when I came in here is the black shades. In bright environments, it's best to have the black shades because that's going to absorb a lot more of the light and keep that keep that all dark. Having a look at the kitchen here, I'm going to try to give you a bit of perspective. So down here we have a bottle opener. This is something that a lot of trailer manufacturers are doing. I think it's really neat because, quite frankly, that's probably something that a lot of people would forget at home. And actually, just realizing this now, a spot for silverware may be an issue with this particular trailer, sort of. But look at the size of this storage. Now, again, go back and watch that Ibex video, and it doesn't have anything near this big, I don't believe. This is where I would put like a pots and pans section down here on the ground, maybe put some liners, and this is where you could put like a cutlery tray and maybe a small garbage down here, maybe your pots and pans go beside it. You do you, but this is a really, really, really big and good space to see in this trailer. Unlike the Ibex, this is a standard microwave. I would not expect to see a convection oven in here given its price point, and that's totally fine. Again, unlike the Ibex, this has a rectangular sink. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In my opinion, rectangular sinks are the way to go. Though the round sinks are, fairly popular, it seems. The rectangular, what I like to say is try fitting a cutting board in it. So rectangular, and especially single basin rectangular without the central divider, is really what I like to see. Decent quality faucet as well. This is often a place where manufacturers, like to save money. Up top, we have two really big cupboards, and this is awesome because this is going to be your plates and cup storage and extra bonus storage. I mean, you could even put your cutlery up here if you really wanted, maybe just put a little label in the front. Now, you might be thinking, well, actually, this is where my food would go. No, no, no. We have a whole pantry in this trailer. Not even joking. I'm going to skip by the refrigerator just because I've already brought it up. Here's your pantry. 1, 2, 3 spots. Now, this, in my opinion, is perfectly fine for even a big bag of chips. It does, get a little bit smaller towards the back, just given the roof line, but we're talking like, an inch and a half at most. Plus, this, more food, more candy, maybe a junk drawer. If you're camping with a couple of small ones, maybe you want to keep that away, or if you're camping with a dog, that's probably where the dog treats are going to go. Dometic fridge, I believe this is going to be just a 12 volt by the looks of things. I don't think it's a dual fuel, nope. And that's perfectly fine by me. So this is going to run off your battery. So if you're doing any dry and off-grid camping, then you're going to want to make sure that you take a look at the energy consumption of this fridge and make sure you have sufficient battery for it. So before I get too deep, I'm going to back up yet again because unlike the Ibex, we have cupboards, we have doors. Again, this is a less expensive trailer. Like, this really, really blew my mind coming in here. This is the stuff that you can't really see on the floor plans that makes a big difference. This is storage. Now, you can, put food up here, and that's actually, again, what I would do, or even like camping supplies. But a better spot for camping supplies is going to be down here. Now remember, in that Ibex video, and you might be wondering, well, why does he keep talking about the Ibex? Well, this is the same company, and Apex Nano is considered the, again, lower tier. Well, we have two full-length cupboard storage. Actually, let me make sure this is full-length. No, the wheel, okay, there is a wheel well there, but it's still a really good size. Whereas on the Ibex, this was electrical, so there was no storage in here whatsoever. And this one has it on both sides, plus this piece is actually your fill for your countertop. Now, I don't think that anybody ever really uses it because, like, the fact that it's in storage, the first thing you're going to do is probably take it off and look where you can put it. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. I really do like this black kind of charcoal. It reads, I think, a little bit bluer on camera than it is in person, but I really like it. And something I mentioned in the Apex video, or the Ibex video, sorry, is that this is a couples trailer, and I don't really see the benefit to having a 4-person dinette. I mean, if you really anticipate doing a lot of entertaining, sure, but pop the awning and hang it out there, even if it's not a nice day, or go sit in the sun around the fire. So I think a 2-person dinette is more than appropriate. Plus, once more, this folds down into a smaller bed. So this would be a good, occasional bed for if you're, bringing kids every once in a while. If you're bringing them all the time, definitely look into a bunkhouse model. That would be much nicer for them to have their own space. This is also good if you have an impromptu guest who's come over and you want to make sure that they have a place to stay instead of driving home. So I really like to see this. Now, turning back around to the front, before we move on, I've almost forgotten, this is not a true 60 by 80 queen. This is going to be, I believe, a 60 by 74. I'm 5'9", and even if I put my head all the way at that window, my toes are basically hanging off. However, it's kind of universally recognized in the RV world that these mattresses are not great. This one's actually better than I have felt in other models. I'm just going to open this door here because what you can do, just like in the Mini Winnie video that we discussed, you can add a true 60 by 80 residential. Again, assuming this is 60 by 80. Let's do a little investigation here. Yeah, okay, so here we are. So 60 by 74. So this is what's considered a RV queen. And what we can do is we can add a full residential queen, which is going to be just 6 inches longer as a 60 by 80. And the way you would accommodate that is, this is just simply a piece of plywood. It's going to be like your 3/8 inch 7-ply. And just find anybody with some basic carpentry skills, and they can go ahead and cut you one that's just 6 inches longer. Now, just be mindful that this will inherently encroach on your ability to kind of access and egress this area. So it'll either be a really narrow squeeze, or maybe you just kind of commit and climb in, straight from the bottom. But it's totally possible. I'd also like to come down here and point out, this is where I would be looking at putting my mountain bike helmets. So unfortunately, I can't show you with my cool hand gestures because this has no struts. That's something you can come in after the fact and add, but that's totally fine because, again, this is how these manufacturers are able to create different products at different price points. So by removing the gas struts, then they can make it more affordable from a purchase perspective. But this is plenty deep. I would call this almost 50 centimeters or 16, 18 inches deep. And I always ask myself, when it comes to a couples trailer, where are my helmets going? And this is exactly where I'd be putting both of my helmets. In fact, all four, because you're looking at, 2 full face and 2 trail helmets. So now we have storage done for trail helmets. And remember, we still have the exterior storage, which is what these bumps are here. And that's going to be for all your camping supplies. So it's your camp chairs, maybe, other camp accessories. You have your electrical cord, you have your water spray cord out there as well. So, kind of how, again, the whole purpose of this is how you would envision this trailer through the lens of a mountain biker. So that's where I would put your helmets. But you're probably wondering, well, what do I do about riding clothes? So let's venture into the back here. And if you've seen any of the other videos, you're probably going to start noticing some similarities on floor plans that I have chosen to show you. So taking a look to the left, we have a nice shower. This one does not feature the shower miser system. Again, that's considered an option. It was standard on the Ibex, and it's only available on the Flex version of the Winnebago Mini Winnie 2108. But it does have, of course, the full plastic shower surround. Crazy enough, I have seen showers that don't have this plastic. It's just like the bare backer board. I don't know. I would never do it. And I actually have to say, this skylight to me is a nicer quality product than what we've seen in the Ibex. The Ibex really came down. It was really this opaque product. This is, in my opinion, a more premium skylight, and that's cool to see. There is a medicine cabinet. It is fairly small, but I would call this more than appropriate for a couple's toothbrush, toothpaste, and a couple of weekend accessories. Little hand towel holder, and then we have full-length towel holders here. Now, I'm going to back up all the way into the shower here and show you. We have 1, 2, and 3 cupboards. So if I was to go in and open that up, we have 1, 2, and come on, Colin. There we go. 3. And this is where I'm putting my riding clothes. So as I've mentioned before in the Mini Winnie, as I've mentioned in the Ibex, this is what I consider bonus clothing space because you don't need this from a lack of clothing space in the front. In fact, this has more clothing space in the front than even the Mini Winnie, which is a much more expensive trailer. So this is where you would hang your, smelly riding gear, your jackets, anything that you don't want that's, might have been dusty and then with sweat turned to mud that you don't want mixed in with your nice button-up shirt that you're going to go for that occasional night in town. And if it's really odorous, you can just pop this open. It does have a small fan. I will say these don't really do much. If I purchased this trailer, I'd be looking at doing a fantastic fan upgrade in here because I think that that's worth it, but we can see that there is like a fantastic fan down there. So it's like a full blade as opposed to just the small one. But this is where I'm putting all of my mountain bike riding clothes. We also have 3 cupboards here. So one of them for sure is going to be used by, beach towels and shower towels and all that stuff. One of them, can be used for like additional riding clothes and, dirty pad and like knee pads and all that stuff. And then in the bottom one, we have a huge cupboard, and this is more than sufficient for all your, bathroom tissue and, spare supplies that you might need in this trailer. And I hope by now you're starting to realize how much space there is in a trailer this size, that's shorter, I believe, than the Ibex, that is less expensive than the Ibex, and I think delivers a more usable product in the end. Like, if you can't tell, I'm really impressed. Plus, I love this skylight feature. I think that's so neat. It's so original. You don't see it on many other units. Similarly, you don't even see the front on many other units, especially not this size. I mean, I can pan you over here to like this, really big solitaire, and you can see that's a smaller window than what we're getting on this small trailer. Like, it's a really, really cool product. So let's venture back outside and wrap things up. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a wrap-up overview and help put things in context. And I'm specifically going to compare it to the Ibex, for the principal reason being that they both exist in the same manufacturer's category, but this is a less expensive product. And don't get me wrong, there are obvious signs of that. We don't have that full heated enclosed underbelly, though tank heaters are a optional extra on this. I don't know how much that costs. Definitely call Field of Dreams if you have any questions about pricing. This is single axle and this doesn't have a slide. So all of those right off the bat are inherently going to be less expensive. But compared to the Ibex, this has a 100-watt solar panel as factory compared to 190. Okay, that's less. It does have 2 propane tanks, 20-pounders, compared to only 1 on the Ibex. This has a 30-amp charge controller compared to a 10-amp on the Ibex. This has the optional Goodyear tires, again, for pricing, call Field of Dreams, with that dual position suspension. Granted, the Ibex comes factory with those Goodyears. On the inside, we have a 60x74 RV Queen that is upgradable to a 60x80. The Ibex has a 60x80 factory, but it's a Murphy. So it's gonna limit your options in terms of adding like that true residential. You're probably gonna be more limited to just adding foamies. This one has, in my opinion, far more cupboards and even literal cupboard doors. If you haven't seen that Ibex video already, definitely go and watch it. A lot of this will make more sense. What else can I tell you? This has a nice big single rectangular farmhouse sink, which I like to see. It has dual storage underneath the actual dinette. They both have the same steady steps. It's just, there are so many similarities and reasons to look at this, not to mention, and again, my personal opinion, but I was actually just chatting with one of the staff members here a second ago, I think this is manufactured better than the Ibex. Again, that might just be a one-off with the model that I happen to see here, but as I ventured around and I was looking at the actual quality of the fit and finish, I think it's better. That's not to say this is the highest end that there is. As you might have seen, one of the doors, I was putting a little bit of pressure on it, just, the weight of my arm, and it wasn't able to close. I had to lift it into place. So it is still a value proposition. So how much does it cost? This trailer here at Field of Dreams RV is $32,999 Canadian. The Ibex, $39,999 Canadian. $7,000 difference between the two. $7,000 of savings with this trailer that may potentially be better built, that definitely in some circumstances adds better options, including options that you can't even really find on other trailers, Ibex included, like that Stargazer package. Like, how cool is that? I think this feels lighter and brighter. I think it has more contemporary color palette. I think it's got better utilization of space. Quite frankly, this is a really cool trailer to look at if you aren't worried about extended season camping, that lack of heated and enclosed underbelly, and again, a leaf spring single axle suspension. So I'll admit it's going to be a tough choice for you as a consumer, but this is a model that I think you should really look at. I hope this has given you something to consider. I think this trailer would really suit somebody who's maybe just getting into it as their first trailer, isn't quite sure, but might want to go off-grid at some point in the future and want some ability to do some upgrades, but cold weather camping is just not really going to be for them. In fact, probably the coldest that they're going to do is just like, late season September, or maybe in the mountains when it's getting down towards freezing temperature anyways. So Thank you very much for watching. I sincerely do appreciate it. If you found this video helpful, please consider clicking the like button. It helps other people find the video. And if you haven't already seen the videos that I've already posted and you're interested in the videos that will be coming out on this trailer series in the future, please consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate that. Until then, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. You take care, and bye for now.